Hi everyone, Andrew from CADvanced here. Today we're going to be taking a quick trip through the system, just looking at all the screens. This is sort of a getting started guide if you like. So what we've got here is a CADvanced system that's exactly as you'll get it when you first subscribe. I've not done anything with this. This is exactly how you'll get it. The first thing we need to do with the new system is to log in. The first person to log in is given administrator rights, so it's really important not to share the URL of your CAD with anyone until you've actually logged in. So that's what we'll do now. We'll log in, and you log in using Steam. So it's exactly the same as any other website that you might use Steam to authenticate with. So you just sign in into Steam, and then that'll log you in into the CAD. The user I'm using here is an administrator, so I can access all the screens. Different people might have different views of the menu and so on, depending on what permissions you give them, and I'll demonstrate how to do that shortly. So if we go over to the menu here on the right, you can see we've got a couple of options. We've got the dispatcher and the admin. If we take a quick look at the dispatcher, it looks like this. We can't actually do anything with it at this point. You see, if we try and create a unit, for example, you'll see we've got messages saying that we've got no units types defined and no unit states. So that's why we need to go into the admin to define this stuff, so that we can then use it in the CAD. So if we go over to the admin menus, and you can see we have a number of options across the top, and this is where you define the different aspects of calls and units and so on. So if we start on the top left with call grades, obviously a lot of these values that you enter here will be dependent on your community and how it works and so on. So I'm just going to be entering in nonsense values really, just to show you how it all works. So if we start with some call grades, so I'm just going to enter like grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. With any of these menus, if you make a mistake or you want to delete a value, you just click the pen to edit it, and you can see you just edit it and save it, and it's saved. And similarly with deleting, you just click the bin and it deletes it, and that applies to all the menus. So if we go over to call types, well, I'm based in the UK, so I might have a call type of say 999 and 121 perhaps. Incident types, well, this could be anything. I might have say a murder incident type, a robbery, I might have a assassination, and so on and so forth. So that's sort of call related stuff we've defined now. So let's move on to units. So unit types, again, this could be anything. So I might have a dog unit, I might have a traffic unit, I might have a terrorism unit. Let's try that again, terrorism unit, there we go. And unit state, so a unit can have a state, and the state will be reflected in the CAD, and it will also be reflected in game. So if I say I had a unit state of active, I might want to define a color for that state, so I might choose green to indicate that it's active. I might have another one, so an inactive one, I guess, and I might want that to be indicated with red and say a responding state, and say that's orange. And with any of these you can have as many values as you like. I'm just doing 2 or 3 just to show you how it works. So as I say, these states are reflected in the CAD, and the colors are used in the CAD as well to give you a quick instant view of what the unit state is. And similarly, if you're using the optional 5M plugin, then it will be reflected within the game as well. So that's unit related values. So if we move on to users now, user rank. So this is the ranks players will have within the game. So if you have a police force, then you'll have the various ranks there. So say we have an officer, we might have a I don't know, a sergeant, we might have a I don't know, Admiral maybe. And because these are ranks, they want to be in a specific order, so you can move them around using these arrows here. So that's user ranks. Users is relating to the actual CAD itself. So these are the roles people who've signed into the CAD have when they're actually using it. So we'll just go through these one by one. So a player role is actually the one role which isn't specifically relating to the CAD. That's more relating to in-game. So the 5M plugin, if you choose to use that, that will allow you to provide whitelisting for your server. So that's an option you can enable within the 5M resource, and if you enable that, players who have the player role within the CAD, this one here, they will be whitelisted for your 5M server. So if I was to uncheck that, for example, I would now no longer be whitelisted for my 5M server if I had whitelisting enabled. So that's a very easy way of just maintaining a whitelist. So we'll go through the other roles now. So a dispatcher, that basically controls whether they can access the dispatcher menu on the menu bar here, whether they can access the dispatcher screen. Call manager, unit manager, user manager and preference manager, they all determine which of these admin options a user can access. So if you had someone who you wanted to be responsible for your units, you could assign them the unit manager role, and they could then access this unit admin screen here. So they're all very straightforward. The reason user manager is grayed out here for me is because if I'm logged in, I never want to be able to remove that permission from myself, because then I wouldn't be able to access this user screen and I wouldn't be able to give it back to myself. So whoever you're logged in as, you will never be able to remove that permission from yourself. Similarly with delete user, you can never delete yourself for obvious reasons. So if there are other users here, I could choose to delete them, but I can't delete myself. So if we then move on to the preferences screen, this is where you can choose whether or not to use the optional 5M plugin. If I was to do so, then it's very straightforward. I would just choose the yes option here. I want to enable the plugin, and I'd enter the address and the port of my 5M server. And that enables the CAD to then send messages to your 5M server when things change in the dispatch screen. So if you create calls, assign calls and so on, that can then be communicated to your 5M server and be reflected in game. Finally, the download screen. So this is where you will get the 5M resource if you wish to use it. You can always get the latest version here. So you just download it, and then we've got some instructions here on how to install it. Installing the resource is very straightforward. It's exactly the same as any other 5M resource. The instructions describe some config options that you can set. You need to set the URL of your CAD. You can also turn on and off whitelisting, that sort of thing. That's in the server.lua file. If you open that, you'll see a few lines at the top with a few options that you can set. And we also have a user manual that can also be accessed on this screen. You can always get the latest version by clicking on that link there. The user manual really covers the same sort of things that we're covering in this video, but perhaps in a bit more detail, and it's often a useful thing to refer to. So that's the admin screen, and we've defined all of our options for calls, units and users. So now we can go over to the dispatch screen, and it looks exactly the same as it did before, but we can now create units, calls and assign them. So let's do that. So we'll start by creating a unit. So the first thing you need to do is give a unit a name, or a call sign even. So let's call this one Alpha Bravo, and this unit will be a traffic unit, and it is active, I think. So we'll create that, and you can see instantly that's reflected in the screen. It's worth noting at this point that CADvanced is a multi-user CAD, so if you've got multiple users all in the CAD screen in their web browsers, any changes any user makes is instantly reflected for everybody else. So you're always seeing the latest state of play. So now we've created a unit. Let's now quickly create another one. So this one's going to be called Charlie Foxtrot. and this one will be a dog unit, I think, and they are inactive at the moment. So now we have 2 units defined. So let's create some calls. So when you're creating a new call, the first thing you do is provide some information about the caller. So for this caller, I'm just going to record his name as maybe Bob Smith. You can enter obviously additional information there. This call grade is a grade 1. It's a 999 call, and the call description, you can have 1 or more descriptions. So you can enter like an initial description, for example, and then as more information about the call comes in, you can then add subsequent descriptions. So I'm initially just going to enter 1 bit of information first. So he's very scared. Someone is in his garden. And you can also select 1 or more incidents for a call. So this is a suspected robbery, so we'll choose a robbery incident. I could obviously choose more. If it escalates, it could become a murder incident. So let's hope that doesn't happen. And a call location, you can have 1 or more call locations, and all locations are derived from the in-game streets. So if I, for example, type ER, I'm prompted for game locations. So let's choose Americano Way and I don't know, Autopia Parkway. So that's created our call, and you can see it's displayed here. You can also create, for any call, you can create a call marker. So if I click place location marker, I can then choose where that should be. Let's just put it there for now. If you're using the 5M plugin, then at that point any units and players who are assigned to that call would see that location in their in-game map. So it makes it very easy for officers to find the location of calls. So we've got a call, we've got units, but no unit is currently assigned to our call. So if we maybe assign Alpha Bravo to this call, you can see instantly that's reflected over here. So Alpha Bravo is assigned a robbery at Americano Way and Autopia Parkway. Let's create another call. So this one, caller information, the caller's name is Steve Jobs, and this is a grade 2. It's a 121, and Steve has lost his car keys. Incident, well, we don't really have an appropriate incident for this, so we'll just call it a robbery for now, and maybe an assassination as well, why not. And the location of this is, let's have a look, Alta Place. So we save that, and now we have our second call here, and I'm going to create a call marker and place it there. So for this one, we could assign, maybe we could assign Charlie Foxtrot to this call, and why not Alpha Bravo as well. So when they're finished with that one, they can access, they can go to the second call, and you can see that Alpha Bravo is now assigned 2 calls. So we have calls, we have units defined, but we don't have any officers assigned to those units. So if we, because I'm the only person in game at the moment, I'm the only person appearing here, so I am going to assign myself, so I can see the units I can assign myself to. I'm going to assign myself to Alpha Bravo as an officer, and you can see I'm reflected there as being assigned to this unit. And maybe I want to assign myself to Charlie Foxtrot as an admiral, maybe. There we go. So now you can see I'm assigned to both those units. And that's really all there is to know about the CAD side of things. It's designed to be a very easy to use system, very straightforward. But if you ever have any problems, then by all means raise a support ticket, and we'll see what we can do to help you. But now we're going to have a quick look at the in-game side of things, just so we can see what happens there. So I'll see you over in game. Okay, so here we are over in game, and so if I want to view the CAD terminal in game, it's a shift and then the right square bracket, the one that's on a QWERTY keyboard that's 2 keys to the right of the P. So it's the right square bracket, so shift and that. So we can see that the terminal then appears, and we can see a summary of our units and their call assignments. So this information is coming directly from the CAD, and as it's changed in the CAD, then it will be changed in here. So I'm looking at the CAD on a separate screen now, and I can see my player's location indicated by their Steam avatar. So if I was to click on their Steam avatar, I then have a manage unit assignments screen, much as you would or much as you did in the demonstration I gave a few moments ago. So if I was to remove my player from the Charlie Foxtrot unit, if I unselect that and then click save, you can see that now changes in the game. And that was accompanied by a notification sound. That's one of the options you can configure in the server.lua file for the 5M resource. You can alter the volume of it from full volume down to completely silence it. So it's up to you whether you want to hear that or not. So say I now wanted to modify the Alpha Bravo unit's call assignments, I would perhaps remove them from the robbery. So if I do that, you can see that's then reflected in the terminal. One thing it's worth noticing at this point is in the mini-map in the bottom left, we're seeing a little marker there. That's the position that was set in the CAD for the call location. So if I go into the menu, the map, we can see if we scroll out, that's over here, and if I click on it, it says it's 999 grade 1 call. So that makes it very easy for players in game to find their way to a call. In fact, I can, because it's just a standard marker, I can select that and set it as a waypoint like that, and I've instantly got directions to get to that call. So that's how changes made in the CAD are reflected in game, and how players in game can very easily see what calls are assigned and how to get to them. And that really is about it. The whole system, as I say, is designed to be as straightforward to use as possible, so hopefully no one will run into any problems. But if you do, then by all means raise a ticket on the support desk, and we'll help you as much as we can. But that's it for now, so thanks very much for watching.